Everyone's an expert on the TikToks these days, especially with their weight loss and nutrition tips. I'm a biochemist, an actual expert, so let's break some of these tips down. Fact or fiction?
4 foods you can cut out your diet if you're trying to lose weight fast.
4 foods to cut out so you can lose weight fast. This already assumes all sorts of interesting stuff. 1, that you already eat all 4 of these foods. 2, that they cause weight gain somehow. And that 3, the weight would go down at a fast rate. Which, what the heck does fast mean? Let's continue.
Feel free to ask your doctor if this is okay for you. Number 1 is...
Well, you can ask me as your doctor.
Number 1 is dairy. If you cut out dairy, it will decrease...
Okay, super interesting already. She talks about foods that you can cut out to lose weight fast, and she, as the very first food, actually suggests an entire class of foods that makes up a huge amount of foods people eat on a daily basis. This makes a little bit more sense now. All right, so if we cut out dairy, what does that include? It includes things like milk, cottage cheese, sometimes people include eggs, silly, although that may amount to what she talks about, we'll see. Protein powder, if you like protein powder, most of it, okay, comes from whey, milk, etc.
Inflammation in your body. You can substitute it for almond or oat product.
I guess it decreases inflammation in your body. I have yet to meet a person who does videos like this who could tell me what inflammation really means, although I can tell you that if you lose weight from inflammation going down, it probably comes from water, which also reminds me that you have realistically 4 different types of weight you can lose. A lot of people say 3, I'll give you a bonus one. Weight can decrease from muscle mass, it can decrease from water mass, it can decrease from fat mass, and it can decrease from bone mass. A lot of people tend to leave that one out, although if you see things trending over time, a lot of people end up kicking the bucket because they break a bone. So I consider bone mass loss something to consider when it comes to just weight loss in general. Cutting dairy will decrease inflammation in your body, we covered that, and clear up acne. Actually, I have seen that a bunch of times. So for some people who do consume dairy, they do have side effects of acne. Mrs. Kashey, my wife included, does have a slight dairy allergy. For the public health side of things, I do take the position that dairy, by and large, has benefits that by far outweigh the risks. And if you do get a zip from it once in a while, then you make the decision on your own if you want to cut it out. Let's keep going.
Almond or oat products. Baby love, you're gonna have to cut off that red meat and that pulp.
Okay, then she goes to red meat. I wonder if that just means beef. Let's continue. It improves your digestion. I would like to know how red meat causes digestive problems in the first place. I do think meat in general may slow digestion down because it has a lot of stuff to break up, connective tissue, etc. When you have large meals, I think when a lot of people eat red meat, they have a lot of red meat at a time included with a bunch of other stuff, and so that tends to slow down digestion a little bit. Although I think having digestion go slower, the speed of peristalsis has very little to do with the quality of digestion, because the larger meal you eat, the slower your digestion goes, so you can absorb more nutrients, so that follows. Maybe she likes to have things go through her immediately. Okay. Again, with the decrease in inflammation, yes, I agree. When some people do cut out red meat, their water weight does go down a little bit because it has a lot of metal in there. Sometimes people have slight allergies. Increase your energy levels. Well, considering red meat has a very high energy content, I do question whether lowering your energy content would lower your energy. Although in some situations where if a person does have an allergy, I have seen anecdotally that when you eat foods that act as, if you eat hypoallergenic foods for you, generally sluggishness, fatigue, things like that tend to go away. And some people do have issues with red meat, just like dairy, okay? And clear up your skin, ask a dermatologist for that one. I do have anecdotal data about dairy though. That does have an effect sometimes.
System, it takes longer to digest and it causes
Okay, so she does bring up it takes longer to digest. In which case I reply, I hope it takes longer to digest. It has more good stuff in there to absorb. Let's move on.
Inflammation. Substitute it for some baked chicken, fish, or vegan alternatives. 3 is
substitute for other protein sources. Okay, who cares? Going back to the dairy one.
Almond or oat products.
Okay, so for the dairy side again, she recommends that you substitute for almond or oat products. They have Oh my goodness, approximately zero transfer of the nutrition that dairy provides on a public health level. Dairy provides tons of high quality protein. It does provide quite a few calories, and the cost of calories, more in particular protein per unit dollar, goes sky high. From a public health standpoint, dairy really does a fabulous job. Some people do have issues with dairy, and if you have an issue with dairy, swap it. If you do swap dairy out, by golly, swapping it with something like almonds, really you end up kind of cutting your own legs off. If you do want to swap out dairy for something else, do have something that replaces the calcium content and the protein content, and if you take the calories, the fat content too. Really, the almonds just replace the fat content, and that really amounts to the only thing that transfers in a reasonable way.
Baby, okay? It sits in your system.
The food sits in your system when you eat it. I hope so. I also noticed that she has a waist trimmer on. Super interesting. I wonder what food she removed for that waist trimmer.
Digest, and it causes inflammation. Substitute it for some baked chicken, fish, or vegan alternatives. 3 is sweets.
So she says substitute this with alternatives. I do agree that if you consume red meat for the protein content, entirely for the protein content, and you get the vitamins and minerals and other things in there from other sources, then you can swap to another high quality protein source. Sure.
Sweets, them cookies, them cakes that...
Oh, cutting out sweets. Losing it here. 4 foods to cut out. Cut out sweets because sweets equals 1 food.
That ice cream, that bubble tea.
Okay, so she says to cut out 4 foods. One of those 4 foods includes sweets, and of the sweets, she says no more candy. No, what do I do without my bubble tea? Ice cream. I can live with that ice cream. And sweets every single day. Okay, so she says to cut out candy and bubble tea and ice cream and sweets every single day. Everything in moderation. Yes, everything in moderation. Agreed. Do I consider sweets 1 food? No!
Bubble tea is sitting on your stomach and becoming fat.
The tea sits on your stomach, people. If you get bubble tea, it sits on your stomach.
Becoming fat. Switch out your favorite candy bars for a piece of fruit, a banana, an apple, or a mango.
Switch out your favorite candy bars for a piece of fruit. Okay. Although in some cases they have the same amount of calories, and if the calories come from sugar, that ends up kind of evening out more or less. If you eat too much of anything, it causes problems.
Fruit, a banana, an apple, or a mango. Y'all
Mango.
feeling triggered yet? I know y'all love y'all
Do I feel triggered yet? I feel wonderful.
I know y'all love y'all bread for breakfast.
Cut out carbs! The 1 food, 4 foods. What do we have for our 4 foods now? We have meat, dairy, candy, and carbs. What the hell does that leave you with? I guess it leaves you with lettuce. So if you only eat lettuce, yeah, your weight will probably plummet, along with a lot of your vitamin levels. Okay, cutting out carbs. Let's see what happens.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, baby. But you are going to have to switch that out for veggies.
Switch that out for veggies. Veggies have carbs in them. It's not healthy to have bread every day with every meal. If you eat enough food to support your body weight and you have a decent body weight, you do an okay job. If you add some colors in there, also good. Substitute with veggies sometimes.
Carbs sit on your stomach. Pasta, pizza.
Carbs also sit on your stomach. On it. When you eat a carb, it sits on your stomach like it sets up a recliner and hangs out next to the bubble tea. This is madness.
The pizza, bread, all of that. It's time to let it go.
It's time to let it go. Hit the button for more motivation. So this, by and large, accounts for a ton of water weight loss, which fine, if you feel bloated, sometimes it gets stuck in your face. Some interesting stuff with the acne changes, for dairy in particular, 100% agree. Lots of anecdotal evidence there. Aside from that, if you do cut down on the candy, then you have fewer calories, and if you have fewer calories, your weight will go down. If you swap all of these foods out and just eat lettuce, your weight will probably tank. Initially, a lot from water weight. If you care about water weight, then you have safer, more interesting things you can do for that. By swapping the candy out for lower calorie density alternatives, your body fat mass will go down. Will it go down freakishly fast? Well, if you only eat candy, maybe.